Coming up tonight, some vigilante groups in the Meme division have been equipped with several security items to fight the growing insecurity that has plagued the Southwest region and Meme division in particular over 3 years. Our reporter Catherine Kone with details in this newscast. Plus, displaced traditional rulers from the English-speaking regions have begun work strategies to guarantee their return to their palaces in their various regions. Details on their meeting with the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Atanga. Peter Sose has details for us in this newscast. And those are our top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining the 6 p.m. newscast on Spectrum Television. I am Josephine Bindzi. Dealers in agricultural tools and building materials in Bamenda have raised reservations over the order of the Minister of Territorial Administration regulating the sale of machetes and iron rods. They have called on government to seek alternative ways of dealing with incessant insecurity threats in the English-speaking regions without hampering economic activities. Details with Peter Sose.
The move by the Minister of Territorial Administration regulating the sale of cutlasses and iron rods in the Northwest and Southwest regions has been received with mixed feelings in Bamenda. Farmers lament that getting permission from authorities for the purchase of cutlasses will adversely affect farming, which is their main economic activity.
Especially to us farmers. Look, for instance, I am the farmer. I am a youth engaged in farming. How am I going to survive? Based on the fact that things are not moving at all in our country, I am struggling to manage the farming. If he says we shouldn't go to the market for machetes, iron rods and the rest, then how am I going to survive? How am I even going to raise money?
Dealers in building materials on their part argued that the order will not only slow down business, but it is not a sustainable answer to the security threat.
Signing and buying, yeah, you have signed and you have bought. Do you expect that I should know what you want to go and build the roads? I don't question you. If you want to go, if you are taking to go and build a house, that's a problem. If you want to go and do any, how do I call it, any criminal act, that is your problem. The businessman is there to buy. The supplier of the roads are taxpayers. They pay their tax and we buy and we also pay taxes. So I don't see why the government is struggling to bring up measures that are going to disturb us.
Yes, you.
According to Paul Atanga, most of the atrocities carried out by separatist fighters have been done through the use of locally fabricated weapons from rudimentary tools. But the minister has been called to ensure the items do not get to the wrong hands.
They should rather go to the places where these things are being imported or fabricated and stop the supplies in our region. Because even in our shops, when the roads are taken out by people who go and use them for other mischievous acts, we don't sell it to them. At times they come at one point and take it from you and you have nothing to say.
A direct crackdown on suspects is also proposed as a better alternative.
Have access. They should go back to homes even. They should send a team out. They should seize all the machetes, whatsoever that is harmful at the level of the homes, not stopping farmers or dealers of iron rods from buying and selling these products because, like I said, it won't work. It will be difficult for it to work, most especially in Northwest here, where we so much depend on farming.
The cutlass and iron rods dealers fear that if nothing is done to review the order, many farmers and builders could be mistaken for terrorists.
Displaced traditional rulers from the Northwest, Southwest and authorities have begun working on a master plan that will guarantee their return to their palaces. The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanga, has met with them for consultations. We remain with you, Peter Sose.
Amongst the thousands of internally displaced persons fleeing the conflict in the Northwest and Southwest regions are traditional rulers. Most of them have fled persecution from separatist fighters who see them as traitors of their independence vision. Away from their traditional stores for years now, the administration is worried.
Many folks from the Northwest and Southwest regions are resident in Yaoundé. And you know, President Paul Biya himself is the fund of funds. So he wanted to understand why are the funds still in Yaoundé, whereas in certain places in the regions, we can say that calm has returned.
Fighting continues between government forces and separatist fighters, but the Minister of Territorial Administration, who has convened the internally displaced chiefs and funds to discuss their return, believes that the situation is under control and government cannot work without their collaboration.
They can now resettle in their different regions because they are the auxiliaries of the administration. So they have to accompany the administration. And moreover, we don't know when the electorate for the regional elections shall be convened, because that depends on the head of state.
After 7 hours of intense discussions, it emerges that the state is ready to restore the authority of these customary custodians, whose authority have been compromised by the crisis.
So we have discussed with the funds, and the major recommendation is that the funds have accepted that they are going back to the regions and that they will relocate back in their fundoms, because from the security standpoint and following our assessment, we can say that things are coming back to normalcy in the two regions.
The return, however, is not an easy feat, but authorities are poised to make it a reality.
We have some preliminary things to do before the funds go back. We will make a comprehensive report to the powers that be, and the elites, the ministers, the parliamentarians, even the business community, they have accepted to contribute monies financially to assist and accompany some of these funds who have been victims of wanton destruction and atrocities committed by the terrorists.
Paul Atanga insists that traditional authorities of the Northwest and Southwest regions must be respected, and taking back their thrones will not only end the prevailing anarchy, but set the stage for the functioning of the House of Chiefs, which is part of the special status for the restive regions.
And we still talk insecurity. Now we take you to the Southwest region, where whistles, phones and other security necessities have been given to all vigilante groups in the 5 subdivisions in the Meme division of the Southwest region to tackle insecurity. The senior divisional officer for Meme division, Chamberlain Tuondong, urged them to be catalysts of peace. Catherine Kone with details.
The senior divisional officer for Meme Division, Shambalendong, has handed over motorcycle with helmets, boots, whistles, phones and identification jackets to some members of vigilante groups in all the 5 subdivisions in Meme Division.
All these items are coming from the head of state to support all the vigilante groups in Meme Division. You know, the exercise is not easy for them. That is why he thought this was to send this small gift to them, to empower them and to permit them to work without any major problem. What I could openly say is that monthly we are going to have a small thing. They will tell you exactly, those who are concerned are going to tell you. In general, we are trying to organize them because for sure alone.
The beneficiaries expressed almost satisfaction and promised to put these equipments immediately into action.
Well, we very much do appreciate the gift from the head of state. As per the ongoing crisis, we intend to use the articles given to us, like the motorcycle bike. It will ease the movement of the vigilante group to sort out wherever the separatist fighters or those who want to disturb the country are found. And with the telephones, it will be available for them to call to tell us wherever they are located. At least that will ease facilitation of, the machine will ease the facilitation of movement, the telephone will ease the facilitation of informing us where these separatist fighters may be found.
These vigilante groups are expected to use this equipment to fight against insecurity and other forms of crimes in the community.
The National Institute of Statistics has witnessed a 2.5% general increase in the prices of basic commodities, representing 1% from last year, but below 3%, which is the highest in the Semak region. John Paul Sama went to see how this materializes in the markets and puts together the following report.
The increased inflation is said to be as a result of the increase in the prices of basic products, notably vegetables, fruits and meat in the market last month. These statistics from the National Institute of Statistics are felt on the field as traders complain of high prices. The prices have gone up. Rice, which used to cost 14,000 francs CFA, is now 19,000 francs CFA. Thailand rice, which used to be retailed at 150 francs per cup, is now 21,000 from 18,000 francs CFA per sack. But we still retail at that price, which is costing us a profit. Those in the fish sector are not also spared from this.
I have been selling fresh fish for over 30 years now, but these days I can't even buy to resell. Prices have increased. The scarcity of fish has caused the prices to increase. The high waves at sea makes it difficult for the fishermen to go out and fish. The few fish available is very expensive as the retailers are many. When there is fish in abundance, a heap sells at 6,000 francs, but now the heap sells at 9,000 francs. That of 2,500 francs now sells at 5,000 francs due to the scarcity.
To ensure that this 2.5% increase in prices is curbed, the National Institute of Statistics proposes that the government shouldn't wait for the threshold of community inflation, but continue to supervise the supply chain in markets, stay active as well as put in place an appropriate fiscal policy to facilitate commercial flow and ensure stability in prices.
Commercial bike riders in Douala say the rainy season is having an adverse effect on their profit margin at the end of the days as compared to the rainy season. John Paul Sama with details.
It is difficult working as a commercial bike rider, but the rainy season makes that job even more difficult. There are no clients because the rain has stopped everyone from going out. Even when they want to go out, they are afraid of the rain, so we don't have lots of clients. Commercial bike riders here in the economic capital complain of low revenue as a result of the heavy downpour, which impedes them from working all day long like in the rainy season. It's not working like before because the rains disturb and people don't leave their houses. And when you don't have an umbrella, you can't work. The rain has a lot of impact on our work because we can't have the profit we used to. Since morning, it's been raining, and even with this umbrella, it's not easy. Those who have umbrellas on their bikes tend to have very little issues. It's more advantageous for me when I have an umbrella because it permits me to go back home with some money. It doesn't rain throughout the day, and when it does, I'm covered. Even though having an umbrella doesn't guarantee walking under the heavy rain, but it is, however, useful to keep the clients safe from getting wet to a certain extent.
In the market, circulation along the road at the Mbopi market in the Douala municipality is an unimaginable illusion as potholes cause colossal traffic. Traders decry the conditions of the roads as it impairs customers from accessing the market, especially when it rains. Catherine Kone has details.
Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, has an acute problem of road, and despite efforts made by the government and the city council, the issue still persists. A case in point is a stretch of road at the Mbopi market in the Douala 1 municipality. Movement sometimes is practically impossible because of the deplorable nature of the road. According to bike riders and traders of the Mbopi market, the poor nature of the road is having a negative impact on their businesses.
Effectivement, ça nous dérange énormément parce que avec ça, il faut que chaque jour.
It is disturbing us because with this, every day we need to go to the garage. It is penalizing us. At times when we are riding, the chains on the bikes comes out, which is caused by the poor state of the road.
Ça nous dérange tellement.
Ça a un incident sur ce que nous faisons parce que
it has an impact on what we do because customers can't get access into the market easily.
Faire leurs achats tranquillement.
The commuters are urging the government to look into the poor state of this stretch of road. If the government can do something, it will really help us because at this stage we can't work. The police officer just told me the road is well tarred. Why are bike riders using the other side of the road? The government should look into the state of the road at Mbopi market. With all the million coming out from the market, they can't fix the road. However, the rapid degradation of road causes one to question why at such an alarming rate. Is it due to the quality of work or due to the nature of the soil?
The Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massenangale-Bibehe, has ameliorated car registration certificates of drivers and car owners. The flexible and easy to transport document is to encourage those who intend to obtain their documents in the nearest future. Christelle Asek-Swele has reactions from drivers in the economic capital in the following report.
Within the framework of reforms undertaken to securing and modernizing transport documents in Cameroon, a new format for car registration certificates has been put into use across the entire national territory. This decision was made public in a press release issued by the Minister of Transport, Ngale-Bibehe Jean-Ernest Masena, who explained the advantages of this document's new format. However, some vehicle owners and drivers of the littoral region of Douala met this morning have this to say.
When I always park my car, I leave my categories inside the vehicle. But if it is like the ID card for me will be good because if I park my vehicle, I can just remove my categories and put it inside my wallet.
Yes, so I think that the initiative made by the state, it is very, very good because, you know, at first you used to put your document inside the vehicle and when they get missing, you will not be able to find them. But now if the category is just like the identity card, you will put inside your purse and then you will hardly be missing.
This car registration certificate in its new format includes technical aspects such as the public policies framework implemented by the government in the road transport subsector and is shaped in the form of a PVC model credit card with visible and invisible security protocols of the latest generation, which allows real-time mobile authentication. Beyond these technical aspects, the new car registration certificate offers better transport and storage flexibility as well as a better protection. Nonetheless, the minister further specifies in his release that car registration certificates produced under the old format remain valid until their expiry date. He further calls on holders of non-computerized car registration certificates, notably those with 4 digits, to transfer them under the new format on or before December 31, 2020. Sanctions will be meted to all defaulters of the regulations in force.
The author of hit song Avec Toi, Math Zambo, has called Cameroonians of goodwill to stretch an arm of love as she battles with ill health. This is the second artist calling on the entire nation for help few months after late Ngeya Laroute did same on her social media platform. Crystal Asexuele has details.
Song that comes every now and then from Cameroonian artists. SOS artists in danger or sick. Not very long ago, it was the artist Ngeya Laroute, who now of blessed memory, the author of the hit Avec Toi, Math Zambo, hide her suffering and misery on the state media on August 19, 2020. Sick and suffering from diabetes, she can no longer afford her medications and claims to have become homeless. She is calling on souls of goodwill to come to her aid. A year ago, after an appeal for help she launched at the same time as the late Mama Ngeya, she had received support from the Ministry of Arts and Culture. Since the minister's visit of last year, August 17, 2019 precisely, things don't seem to have changed for the better. The artist-musician Math Zambo suffers from diabetes and lacks the finance to buy her medications. However, she's calling on souls of goodwill to come to her aid.
International page. In a brief address on state TV, Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta announced his resignation late Tuesday, hours after mutinous soldiers detained him and top officials from government. Keïta's ouster followed weeks of large anti-government demonstrations in the capital, Bamako. Experts say what happened next is really anybody's guess for a country that has been marred by many years of conflicts and instability. Details with the VOA.
Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, or Ibeka as he's known, has been in power since 2013. He said he had no choice but step down.
For 7 years, I had happiness and the joy of trying to redress this country throughout my best efforts.
In a statement carried out overnight on state TV, the soldiers behind Tuesday's military coup identified themselves as the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, led by the Colonel Major Ismaël Ouagé.
Le Mali sombre de jour en jour dans le chaos.
Mali descends into chaos day by day, anarchy and insecurity because of the fault of the people in charge of its destiny. Real democracy doesn't go with complacency.
Demonstrators had demanded Keïta's resignation during frequent anti-government protests that began in early June. Jude Moore is a senior policy fellow at the Center for Global Development in Washington. Moore served as deputy chief of staff to former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
When the protests first started, the protests were really about increasing the salaries of teachers and doctors. And as the protests continued without a response from the government, the demands of the protests expanded and they became more expansive. Then they included the failed parliamentary elections. There was a perception that there was deep corruption within his administration and a significant amount of nepotism.
Joe Shoyer, Mali resident representative for the UN Development Program, UNDP, told VOA from Bamako that while there is no justification for a coup, it's important to note that underlying issues go back many years.
The conflict in the country that go back in terms of decades of unrealized development opportunities and grievances people have in terms of access to basic services, a lack of rule of law, and so on. You have the events following the Arab Spring, the coup in 2012 in Mali, the ensuing establishment of international terrorist groups in the country and in the sub-region, and of course the miscontent as well in terms of the recent elections that are seen as not being 100% fair. On top of that, the security situation with a number of massacres over the last 18 months.
The coup has been strongly condemned by the international community, including the African Union, the West African Bloc, ECOWAS, and the United Nations, which has peacekeeping troops in the country. Instability in Mali is even more concerning given the number of elections coming up in West Africa, says Moore.
Côte d'Ivoire, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Niger, Ghana. So we have 5 elections coming up. 2 of those elections represent issues. In Côte d'Ivoire and in Guinea, we have presidents who are going for a 3rd term. And those are already beginning to raise questions. So for ECOWAS, the stability of the region is really, really important.
Keita was democratically elected in 2013 and was serving a 2nd term when he was ousted this week. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
And that report closes the curtains for tonight's newscast. Thanks for watching. We will be back tomorrow for more information. Good night.